since the origins of the Western university, the academy, this question of what precisely the role is of Jews in the university in an Anglo society, how to integrate them, what rights to have, has been a very vexing issue for these universities. And that debate, that question, of course, took a new dimension with the founding and US recognition of Israel. So I think the first point is that this is a very long issue, an ugly one at times. And what we're seeing today is really just one chapter of a very long history of anti-Semitism in the Western Academy.
At the university level, you believe anti-Semitism has been kind of dormant and under the radar for all these decades?
Oh, I wouldn't even say it's dormant. I mean, we saw recently in the Supreme Court case with the affirmative action case, the Supreme Court justices, in fact, challenged Harvard to reconcile, to come to terms with Harvard's legacy of anti-Semitism. And it was no secret that for a long time, the universities actively discriminated and had quotas on Jewish students. So this is not new. I wouldn't even describe it as being under the radar.
I want to challenge that a little. Is it really anti-Semitism? The way I always understood it. Hey, the fact is Jewish students tend to do better than non-Jewish students. And so if they took it clearly on merit, then you might have an overpopulation. They might dominate, the admission role. So by putting a limit, I mean, it's almost to me a compliment because there's so many qualified Jewish students. Listen, this is the narrative. I'm asking you if it's true. There were so many qualified Jewish students, and Ivy League schools recognize that, said, we can't let them all in.
I think the way that I would think about it, and I think the way that the dilemma that the universities are in, is that they have many different goals. So academic excellence is one goal, but they also want to promote diversity. They also want to be responsive to the broader society that they're in. They also want to produce leaders. They also want to be a forum for debate and discussion. These are all goals that are in tension with each other. And so the question is, I think what the universities are trying to tackle is that they want to have the best and brightest people at their campus, but they also want to promote certain liberal values, but then they also want to have diverse viewpoints. Now, you can see why these things can maybe lead to tensions on an issue as a hot button issue like Israel or something like that, when you have people from all over the world at these universities.
That's what I'm saying. So is it really anti-Semitism, or is it just a recognition that there are so many qualified Jewish students, we can't let them all in? Is it really anti-Semitism, though?
Well, I think in an earlier era in particular, I think this is precisely the dilemma that Harvard and other universities were in, that if they went strictly on the merits, you would have Jewish students, Jewish faculty so disproportionately represented at the universities relative to their population in the broader society that these universities would stop being anywhere near representative of the broader society they're in.
Right.
Now,
I don't know if I would call that anti-Semitic. I don't know if I would call it that. That's my only point.
No, that's true. And look, I think that, I mean, as conservatives, we all saw the spectacle of the university presidents in front of Congress. I mean, it's not difficult to be critical of them, but I do think it's important to recognize that they're in a very challenging dilemma here. I mean, the reality is, if you want to have the best and brightest people at your universities, you are going to have to draw from the rest of the world. It's no secret that around the world, in Asia and the Middle East, even in Europe, attitudes toward Jews in Israel are not friendly at times, nowhere near as friendly as they are in the US.
We have to admit and accept that, and we have to challenge that everywhere we see it as well. All right.